We told you we'd have more than just one book haul video. So here's part 2 with more than likely another 5 or 6. So let's get number 2 on the way. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today we've got for you book haul part 2. All the books we have here we will link down below, whether or not you'll get the same edition I have. More than likely not, because some of them are older looking. But at least you can find an edition and give it a read if you want. Some of these are horror, some of them are manga, some of them are other stuff. And we're just going to show you what we got. And it's going to be a jolly old time. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and start showing you some books. Alright, so the first 2 books I'm going to show you are ones that I'm going to go into blind, so I will not be reading the synopsize for either of them. The first one is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing, which this is the thriller book. It's a thriller book, and this is something that Danielle had recommended. I will read just the little top portion here. A bold, sneaky thriller set at a prestigious private school complete with interfering parents, overeager students, and one teacher who just wants to teach them all a lesson. So I am very intrigued with this. This is also the author of Sleeping Dog's Lie, which is like it's an Amazon only like Audible thing. Like you can only listen to it on Audible. Like I don't think you can buy a physical copy of the book. So I read that, really enjoyed that book, and so figured I'd give a read to an actual book by her that I can physically own. So, but yeah, it sounds really interesting. So there you have For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. The other book I'm going to talk about is a horror book called The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. This is another one I want to go into blind, but I did talk about this in my anticipated July releases, which we'll post up here if you want to take a look at that video, because I talk about it a little bit more in that video there. So, but yeah, I'm very intrigued with this. I think this is also, I mean, it's a chunkier book. It's not It or The Stand, but it's definitely chunkier than a normal book, as you just saw with For Your Own Good. But I am very intrigued to get into this book because I've heard some good things about the author, and I figure I should give him a read and see how he is. And also, I mean, the cover just looks really cool. Just look at it. So, yeah, there you have The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. So the next 2 I'm going to show you, I'm going to show them together. I've got One Punch Man Volume 3 and 4. So, One Punch Man is the one manga that I've read thus far. I gave it a 5-star rating. I love the character and himself. I think his actual name is Satama. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, and I'm sorry, manga fans. But the character himself seems really funny because he's just like this average-looking guy, but he's just got this weird gift to just like destroy things in like one punch. In one of the videos I actually talked about with him, he actually literally just like backhand slaps this like weird mosquito woman, and she flies like into space. It's like one of the stupidest like slaps ever, and she just whoosh, gone. So I am going to continue this series. I got to read the second one still, but I got 3 and 4 ready to go for when I finish the second one. So there you have One Punch Man. Alright, so the next bunch of books are just a bunch of like old style paperback editions of some horror books that I found. All really old. So some of them are actually pretty pristine condition, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to go over these real quick. I got an edition of Psycho, which this is a book I did read, gave it 5 stars. Pretty solid book. I think this is more related to the movie that came out with Vince Vaughn in it in the 90s than it was the original one that was Alfred Hitchcock's. So, really solid book, gave it 5 stars. The next book that I got, Ghost Story by Peter Straub. So, this book is so weird. I read a little bit of it, and I didn't finish it. But I'm not going to say I'm never going to finish it. I eventually want to get back into reading it. But right now I just kind of have it sitting off to the side. Danielle found this edition at our half-price books, and I thought it looked really cool, so obviously we had to get it. So there you have Ghost Story, Peter Straub. So the next book I'm going to show you is I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. So I was yet to find this book as just its own without an additional set of stories in the book. And then Danielle actually found this sitting at our half-price books, where it is just the story I Am Legend. There's nothing else in it. It's a really short book. It's a short story. It looks really cool. And I did read this book. It wasn't as good as I thought it was, and that will be coming up in a recent read soon. So, I don't know. But again, it's really cool to find an edition where it's just I Am Legend, because all the other ones that I seem to find have got like 3 or 4 other stories in it. So, very good find. I Am Legend, Richard Matheson. The next book that we found was an old edition of Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. There's a lot of extra letters in that name. So, but this book, by what I understand, is about a girl who survives, like, the apocalypse, and I honestly don't know if that's correct or not. It's a really thick book. I really want to read this book, but it's really long, and I don't know if I am going to get to it. Just like The Godfather, it's a book to own because it is such an iconic book, and people talk about this, and I do want to read this one. Because it is like, I mean, look at that cover too. It's such a really cool cover. So hopefully I get to this book. I really do want to read it though. So the next two I'm going to talk about together because I never honestly thought I would find these books at our half-price books. So I read the first Amityville Horror. It was such a really good book. I gave it 5 stars. And when we were at our half-price books, I found the Amityville Horror 2 and the final chapter. And I completely had forgotten that there was a sequel and then another one with the Amityville Horror. I honestly forgot about it. And then I'm standing there looking at the shelf and I'm like, why does it say the Amityville Horror 2? And I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot there was another one written. And then right next to it was the last chapter, the final chapter. So I do not know if an audiobook exists for these because I have looked and cannot find one. Any of my friends out there who happen to find random audiobooks, let me know in the comments if you know if there is one that exists, because I am yet to find one. So, but I thought it was really cool to find these, and I do want to read these at some point because it follows the Lutz family after the first event of the Amityville Horror. So, there you have the Amityville Horror 2 and the final chapter. Alright, the next book I'm going to show you is actually a book that was gifted to me. It's been a little while now, but I have just not included it in a video, so I'm sorry, Patrick, but here it is. Helltown by Jeremy Bates. So, this was a gift from a subscriber and a follower on Instagram named Patrick. Thank you for the book. I read The Sleep Experiment by Jeremy Bates, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was a really surprising book. And this was on my Amazon wish list, which we always have got linked down below. And he looked at it and decided to send me this book. So I gotta make sure I give this a read along with some other Jeremy Bates books. But awesome gift, Patrick. Thank you for it. And there you have Helltown by Jeremy Bates. Alright. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. I don't know if I said that right. This book obviously is what inspired the Godfather trilogy, and I mean, am I going to read it? I plan to at some point. It's definitely not on the top of the list, just like how a couple other books aren't really at the top of the list, but I thought owning it would look cool. Obviously, it looks like it's a very seasoned book. There were 2 editions at the store, and the other one I think had like the whole something was ripped off of the spine, and so it really didn't look that good. So obviously, I went with the better looking edition. So yeah, I also have not watched the Godfather films, and I really don't know why. They just haven't really intrigued me. So maybe that's why this book isn't like high on my priority list. So. But yeah, I just thought it'd be cool to have. So there you have The Godfather by Mario Puzo. Alright, the last book I'm going to show you is a random book that I found. Not necessarily random. I have owned this book in the past, and I don't remember what happened to it. I don't remember what we did with it. I hope we didn't just randomly lose it, but I don't remember where it went. And I found it at Half Price Books. The Watchmen graphic novel. So I was a kid when I went and saw the movie in theaters back in whenever it came out. I can't remember the exact year it came out. It was the middle of the 2000s. And a Zack Snyder film, actually. And I absolutely loved the movie. And I had no idea that it even was a comic book until maybe a year or two later, and my dad said, you know, that was based off of a graphic novel. And so I have wanted to read it for a very long time. This is not the only graphic novel I own. I do have a little Marvel collection I have, where I've got a bunch of like Marvel Funko Pops. I've got like this thing that my dad gave me where it's like kind of like an encyclopedia for Marvel comics and stuff like that, like characters, places, and all that. And then I do have the Infinity Saga in there. I've got this really cool box set that came with the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Wars. It came with a whole bunch of other stuff that I think is really cool. And I am partway through the first portion of Infinity Gauntlet. I just need to finish it. I think it's like the pre-Infinity Gauntlet book. And so now I can add this to the collection. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you want me to do a reading vlog with maybe a graphic novel. Maybe I'll do something like that. Watchmen or something like that. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, there you have Watchmen. Alright guys, so there you have the book haul part 2. Again, we will link these books down below if you're intrigued with any of them. Also, again, you're not going to be guaranteed to get the same cover I did, but you will still be able to find the book. But yeah, awesome stuff. What are some books you've gotten lately? Let me know in the comments down below. And then don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.